Arriving in Washington without fanfare late Sunday, Israel's prime minister is at the center of a political firestorm, shunned by the president, vice president, and secretary of state for coming to lobby Congress against a nuclear deal with Iran without prior notice to the White House, only 2 weeks before Israel's election.
Obviously, it was odd, if not unique, that we learned of it from the Speaker of the House and that an administration was not included in this process.
Let's get to work. Our guest is the Republican representative for Wisconsin's 8th Congressional District. Last week, he stood tall again and voted to fund the Department of Homeland Security, and will likely once again have to vote for a measure that has split the Congress. We've got much to talk about with Congressman Reid Ribble. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, hi Ed, I'm happy to be here.
Pleasure to have you, Congressman. The appearance by Benjamin Netanyahu, is this simply just the right thing to say at the wrong time? Simply, if you look at the way this has not only split the Congress, but has everybody arguing whether or not the president really has Israel's best interests at heart?
You know, I'm not going to take a position on the president as far as where he's at on the nation of Israel. I think American people will make their own judgment on it. You know, the Congress of the United States is a separate but equal branch of the federal government. The Speaker felt that the best way to have the Congress informed on Israel's position related to Iran's potential nuclear armament was to have Benjamin Netanyahu come and address the Congress, and so that invitation was extended to him. Originally, they wanted to have this happen a month ago, but with the AIPAC conference going on in Washington, D.C., this was able to facilitate Bibi Netanyahu from not having to come back and forth to the U.S. twice, and so it happened just 2 weeks ahead of the election in Israel. We're not politicizing it. How the Israelis view it, that's up to them.
In your opinion, how deep is the insult by your fellow congressmen of the Democratic stripe who say that they will not attend the conference?
Well, there's a certain group of them that are not going to attend, and that's a choice that they can make. I mean, there have been other heads of state that have come and spoken to Congress, and not every member has attended. Some of them are now being vocal about it. But this partisan wrangling over Israel and over the negotiations going on with Iran, you're seeing the differences between the political parties as it relates to Iran's potential nuclear armament. Republicans, as a general rule, wanted to see the sanctions imposed and maybe even dialed up because they were being effective, to dial back the sanctions as the president has done, and made it easier for Iran to actually create nuclear power, I think was a mistake. And so there is some difference of opinion here. And I don't think it's all that abnormal that Republicans and Democrats disagree.
In your opinion, does the president simply have it wrong on Iran?
He does. I think he's got it wrong, and I think most of my colleagues on my side of the aisle would feel that way.
With regard then to the second issue that has now got Washington talking, the Washington Post today talks about the DHS funding, 1 week, the temporary. They call it an embarrassing spectacle where they say dyspepsia has displaced deliberation, common sense has been thrown to the winds, and they're throwing the fault right at the Republicans. Are you embarrassed by what's gone on, and do you feel as if you're part of that embarrassment?
Well, I don't necessarily feel like I'm part of the embarrassment. I think the person that ought to be embarrassed is Harry Reid. Harry Reid obstructed the House bill for 5 continuous weeks. It was over in the Senate, and he obstructed it. And now they're continuing their obstruction by saying we won't even go to conference. We won't even follow the constitutional process to work out our differences and have a conversation. Let's gather around a round table and let's talk to each other about the differences. If there's been any embarrassing, it's been going on by the minority leader in the Senate, who has tried to obstruct this process from the beginning.
But Congressman, you have to realize, though, that you're the one that's going to take the blame. You and the Republicans are taking the media share of the blame right now, and it's going to fall right on your head, no matter how many times we sit here and talk about Harry Reid.
Well, I completely understand that, but there's a principle of law here. On what basis can we go ahead and allow, as Republicans, as Americans, quite frankly, that we can allow the president to continue his illegal action when, in fact, a court has already said it's illegal, the Congress has said it's illegal, and the president, for 5-6 of the time he's been in office, has said it's illegal. And so what we've done is we've funded Homeland Security fully. The president could end this tomorrow by simply saying, all right, Funding and protecting 300 million Americans is more important than my illegal action on amnesty for 4 million undocumented workers in the country. He could do that tomorrow and end it. I realize that the media is going to come after us, and that's just part of the process of being a member of Congress. If you're not willing to take tough votes, you don't really belong here.
All right, Congressman, stand by. Another go-round with Congressman Ribble. We turn to CPAC, the men who would be president, and so much more. We question everything. This is MidPoint.